About Elon versus Bezos on the space thing?
Yeah, we'll jump in a minute. I just wanted to let people know, by the way, the robot going at 5 miles an hour, it's not as outlandish as I think some of the journalists and idiots out there who don't build anything in the world who were kind of dunking on him. Like we're saying, if you think about those cars going 65, 75, 85 miles an hour on the road, processing the world, doing a neural network, machine learning on the fly to figure out where the car should go, a robot going 5 miles an hour is an easier task.
I think all those people dunking on him should have just taken a step back and actually asked the question, am I just being really insecure right now? And if so, why am I making fun of this guy who just seems to be, firing on all cylinders? And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm writing this article out of my own insecurity. Maybe I'm feeling a little impotent.
Yeah, and also to dunk on a guy for the version 1 or even the version 0.1 of a product is so ridiculous. I mean, I remember the version 0 of Tesla. Now look at the company. I mean, it's about iterating. That's how you get to products. So it's just so stupid and short term.
And by the way,
to dunk on the current product capabilities.
And his style of doing these things, I think, makes a ton of sense. When he started with Starlink, it was the same reaction. People were dunking, too slow, too expensive, not going to work. And what you find through these events are really technical people building companies that could help him want to be a part of the mission, right? And so, for whatever it's worth, it's like, I think Starlink's going to be a real thing. I think this is probably going to be a real thing. I think great companies will get absorbed into these efforts. I think it's great. And I really think that people that are just so low, like there's like this loathing going on. I just don't understand.
Chamath, what do you think will differentiate the opportunity for success with Larry Page owning and running Boston Dynamics, then Masa owning and running Boston Dynamics, and then Elon trying to take on the same project from scratch? Why were these other two kind of well-capitalized, influential businesses that have attract great partners not been able to turn Boston Dynamics into kind of a successful business, but you guys believe Elon will? If
I had to just categorize them, I would say Larry is absent and is sitting on $100 billion fortune with no idea what to do. I think Masa
on one of 7 islands.
Yeah, I mean, he's just absent. So he's irrelevant. I don't think anybody knows what the fuck he looks like. I mean, we do, but he's frittered away enormous potential, I think. I think Masa is a master capital allocator, but not an engineer. And I think Elon is the most important technical product and business mind of our lifetime.
I think the answer is even simpler. He's the customer of the robot. So he understands what the spec should be because he has so many robots working in the factories. So he's going to buy the first 1,000 to go colonize Mars or work at a space station to build shit in space. And he's going to have them working in the Tesla factory and for the Boring Company carrying rocks out of tunnels. He's the customer. Of course he knows. And Masa wasn't the customer. Masa was looking to increase whatever money he bet on it by 10x.
But it's also skill set. Like Masa,
of course,
is an incredible visionary and investor, but he's not going to be the guy in the engine room making the robot. Larry, now, in fairness to Larry Page, he could be that good. And there was a moment in time where Larry was that good and frankly, better than Elon. But that window has closed and it's well past. And now, it's kind of like the player that just keeps getting better and better. I think that's Elon Musk.
Go ahead, Sachs, your thoughts?
I mean, nothing to add to that. I think you both make great points. I mean, the amazing thing is that Elon is still working so hard, doubling down, coming up with new ideas, new initiatives. I mean, it's
working
incredible.
Harder than ever.
When most people are, most people would do what Larry did, go buy an island
or 7
and hang out,
Yeah. All right. Bezos is lost his way, and he left his position as CEO of Amazon to focus on Blue Origin. And then he sued NASA over the moon program, accusing NASA of wrongly evaluating its lunar lander proposal, giving all the funds to SpaceX. He then did a series of infographics talking about how terrible SpaceX's plans were. This lawsuit has delayed SpaceX's work on the project, according to The Verge. I don't know if that's true or not. Amazon urged the FCC to dismiss the newly submitted plans for SpaceX to launch another cluster of satellites to power Starlink. And Elon tweeted, turns out Bezos retired in order to pursue a full-time job, filing lawsuits against SpaceX. which is hilarious. How sad is this?
It's a huge miscalculation in the following way, which is that in order for Jeff to achieve his ambitions, he needs deeply technical people. And this is the simplest way to basically turn them off, because this is not what technical people do.
What do technical people do?
We don't take our toys and run from the sandbox crying like a bitch. We stay there and we keep iterating, trying to make things work.
Yeah, we don't act like patent trolls. I have a new slogan for you, J-Cal.
Go ahead.
Winners do and losers sue.
Winners do and losers sue. Okay, folks, there you have it. It's the All In Podcast. We're back. We're back
Young
from
Spielberg.
a big vacation. Young Spielberg, make it happen.
Yeah, make the banger.
Make a banger. All right, everybody.
Freeberg, what's your Freeberg? Do you have any thoughts on these on the
lawsuits?
I feel bad for Bezos. I feel like he's just getting so beat up on this shit. It's honestly, it's a little disappointing because I think he's got all the right intentions. He's an incredible engineer, obviously an incredible operator. I'd love to see him and Elon succeed in the work they're trying to do, as well as all the other startups that are pursuing this. I am concerned about, frankly, the lack of commercial readiness for this industry. I feel like in terms of the hype cycle, we're at that early point where the investment dollars and the number of companies exceeds the market demand. And therefore, there's this fight over the one or two customers, which is basically NASA and the federal government. And it's creating this really nasty set of circumstances because that's where the money comes from. That's where the customers are right now. And so they're all fighting over one or two customers. And, Elon filed suits against, federal agencies when he lost contracts. And
he did that when they no-bid them.
I get it. And
slightly different.
Still, I get it. But still, I think at the end of the day, Bezos is willing to put his money where his mouth is. He's offered to put up $1 billion or more to fund this. I'd love to see multiple companies simultaneously going to the moon, multiple companies simultaneously going to Mars. But rather than have a single contract with one customer, or have private industry figure out ways to make money from this and fund it. The challenge is it's another product market fit question, right? The market is one customer today.
But Bezos is almost 60 years old. He's got $150-200 billion. It's going to cost him $2 or $3 billion, 1-3% of his net worth to do all this. Just fucking do it, Bezos, and stop crying and
You're right.
filing lawsuits.
He may end up doing that. Yeah,
but the problem is
crying about it and just be a competitor.
No, but he's losing the human capital that's required. So there was a huge little press cycle about this one person who was like the leader of the lander project who just quit and went to SpaceX. My point is, other engineers don't want to see that this is the way to win.
Yeah, he's got to crawl out of that hole now. Yeah.
Build, iterate, and solve. Build, iterate, solve.
It certainly seems the case that his PR stunt with shooting himself into space didn't do him any favors either. It's almost like everyone sees the great work Elon does when he does these PR events, and he gets all this attention and publicity and gets positive press and accolades. And then Bezos does them, and he's like, "Oh,
Bezos has no besties. There's no bestie taking Bezos aside. He's bestieless. Bezos.
By the way, Bezos. He may have besties, but they're not doing the job that other besties do for other people.
If they're yes men and women, and they're not being true besties, they need to tell him when he's got something that's a blind spot.
He needs
and the
real
blind
besties.
spot here is he was dunking on Richard Branson and being like, "Oh, you didn't go to the right height. Here's an infographic." Stop with the fucking infographics, Bezos. What are you, 12 years old? And you're like going to the teacher with like a drawing, like, I should technically get an A+, and I should be singing the solo for the choir practice. And like some other person is like, got the solo. You get the fucking solo next year, Bezos.
If Bezos offered you a huge consulting fee, J-Cal, would you be his bestie consigliere?
I'm a bestie for hire, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I'm bestie as a service.
By the way, I hired this fucknut. He flies back with me. I mean, he literally ate everything on the plane. And then
what are you talking about?
And then, hold on, let me finish.
You were eating a tiramisu.
Let me finish.
Let me finish. On the tiramisu I singled.
He said to me, Chamath, you have some great toiletries in the back. I said, yeah, sure. There's Marvis, there's great toothbrushes. And then out of his pocket, he pulls some Scope bottles that he had built for
I have 4 more in my bag. I didn't have to buy Scope until 2022.
I was
and it's
shocked.
Not generic. It's the real Scope.
This motherfucker was looting.
I looted. It's a nice
I looted all your lactate. We all take advantage of CP's.
Oh my God. This other guy, this motherfucker, Friedberg, once was so buried, he got so fucking mad, he grabbed all the lactate in my, our little medicine cabinet, and ran out, then came back. He was angry and he was like, I'm so fucking angry because he had lost a big pot, right, during poker. Then he took all the pistachios and shoved them in his pocket.
It's like an Afghan warlord. He's just stealing everything.
Stole the pistachios?
Yeah, I stole the pistachios and the lactate.
Remember that night.
And the lactate.
He's like, fuck it. I lost 10 dimes. I'm going to get back $37 in lactate.
Oh my God.
So sad. So sad. All right.